question going around: who played for the Yankees, the Rangers, the Knicks, and the Mets? And the answer was Jane Jarvis. Well, I have a trivia question for you. Who is in every race at Monticello Raceway? And it is not any driver or trainer, but it is the starter, and the man who drives the starter's car. And I introduce to you now Mr. Joe Desimone on my extreme right, and Joe D. Jr. in the center. Joe is the starter at Monticello Raceway. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Gary.
Good morning. Joe, as the starter, what exactly is your job? You are the man that is in the starting car, which we're going to explain in a couple minutes. What exactly is your job?
Well, call the horses and get them all in formation and try to get them all the way without no problems.
And that's the reason for the starting gate, to bring the horses in line so that they get to the starting line all in an order.
Right, that's right.
What are some of the more unusual things you've seen as a starter? Horses having problems, so on and so forth.
Got bad acting horses. Some of them you have to help them along, keep them on the gate. You got to sometimes just working with them. A driver come up and tell you he has a problem behind the gate with a horse, so you just have to do the best you can. Try to get them away without no problems.
Now, if the horses do not go on gate, then there's a recall.
There's a recall at the recall pole. Then we start all over again and we try the best. Very seldom we have too much problem. We manage to get them away pretty good.
Now, your arm is leaning on the gates. Can you just briefly explain how this car is laid out?
Well, we have two wings. We have right and left, and we have two handles inside the car, and that's how we control the wings. And I have a gas pedal on the dashboard where I control the gas also.
Now, what about the lights? Do they signify anything?
Recall lights, red lights are all the recall lights. Blue lights is when I call the horses in to come behind the gate.
Now, when you're calling the horses too, the drivers are responding to, do the horses respond to anything on the car?
No, as soon as you turn the horses, when you call them horses start coming.
Now, explain exactly what happens from when you take the car out of the paddock to when the announcer, Jerry Glantz, calls the field is in the hands of the starter. What's exactly the procession?
Well, you pick up the horses and you start taking them away and you start increasing your speed, and as soon as you see they all look pretty comfortable, you just keep on increasing your speed until you get around to the wire.
Okay, Joe, why don't you come a little closer here? You are the driver of the car. How fast does the car actually go, and when do you start increasing your speed?
It's an average of 28 to 30 miles an hour. And usually when you get to past the recall pole, the speed increases more, you know, to the, like, say 28 or 30. Because in the turn, you can only go, like, you know, not too fast because of the way it's crowned and everything.
Have you ever had an instance where the gas pedal stuck or you took off too soon, anything like that?
No, lucky enough, no.
Now, most people watch the horses as they obviously start the race. What happens to the car?
Explain, I don't understand.
When the car leaves before the finish line, or when it leaves the horses at the starting gate, what happens to the car? Where does the car go?
Well, there's a chute off to the right hand of the track that you pull off. This way you're out of the way of the horses in case of an accident or, you know, something bad should happen.
And then you proceed back to the paddock?
Yeah, then you just come back. Like after the horses pass you, then you can follow them, you know.
Joe, do you know why we've seen some cars actually follow the horses around? Is there any reason for that?
Well, that's a judge. See, that's like we have a patrol judge. Well, they're considered patrol judges, and they follow around and look for any problems on the track or horses interfering, or big tracks have that, mile tracks. You don't see it on a half-mile track.
Now, how long have you been the starter, Monticello?
3 years, no, almost 3 years.
Anything that sticks out in your mind as some unusual races that you've had to start? Do you get more excited before some of the big races like the Classic than the average Monday or Tuesday night race?
Not really. I mean, of course, it's a nicer race, you know, nicer horses, and they're all pretty well about the same, so you have no problem with them. But a race is a race, really.
Do you feel a little anonymous, that no one really knows who you are?
Not really.
One of the things we're going to do now is we're going to go into the car, and we're going to put the camera and myself into the car and let you see as the car leads the horses to the starting line. And we're on a beautiful morning here at Monticello, qualifying races. Joe, briefly explain exactly what the qualifiers are.
Well, these are horses that are going to have to qualify before they race.
And they have to hit a certain time in order to be eligible.
2:10 is for paces, it's 2:10, and for trotters, it's 2:12. They got to get the qualifying time, and they also got to be on the gate when we cross that wire. If they're off that gate any kind of a length, 3/4 or a half a length, they will not qualify.
Okay, and that's where...
Even though they go to time.
Okay, and that's where we are now. Qualifying morning at Monticello Raceway. We have these every Tuesday and Friday morning. So let's go into the car and let you see exactly what happens as the car goes to the starting line.
Let's bring them all together, boys. Okay, Joey. We just went outside, calling hammers to hell. All right, gentlemen. Let's bring them all on the gate. Let's bring up that 1 and 2. Who's on, Robin Zach?
Let me tell you something. You go to roller coaster rides, you go to amusement parks, you want to rush, you try to sit in this car as they lead to the horses to the starting gate, because you have never in your life seen anything as exciting or interesting as riding in a starting car, which is in every race at Monticello Raceway and harness tracks throughout the United States. My thanks to Joe Desimone Sr. and Joe Desimone Jr. for a very interesting morning here at beautiful Monticello Raceway. And we'll be back with more on the inside track right after these messages.